D.C. Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs and other organizations are dedicated to serving our veterans. This program represents our D.C. values, and it's important that every veteran and their families know they are not alone.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. We ask that you please stand for the presentation of colors and national anthem presented by the D.C. National Guard.
Present. Arms.
Please welcome the Associate Director of Television and Entertainment, Bruce Walker.
Good evening. Well, this is a very, very special evening. And first of all, we'd like to thank Mayor Muriel Bowser for all of the initiatives and that she has created here that serve the residents of Washington, D.C., and our director, Director Angie Gates of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment, for giving us the platform to create such great programming. And tonight is one of those nights that we have the honor of actually doing a program that has been inspired by so many different people and different positive images that you'll see here tonight that's participating in the programming. It's a true collaboration between the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, KMC Empowerment, and the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment to honor our veterans. I think you will all enjoy this program tonight, and I can tell you this is a special thanks going out to the producer of this program, Stacy Holmes. And he came to us with this program about, oh yeah, definitely give him a round of applause. He's worked extremely hard. He came to us with this idea about maybe almost a year ago. And he sat with the programming team and we said, Stacey, this is a great idea. And he started with one thing, then it was 2, then it was 15, then it was 20. And now we're here tonight. So I think he has worked very, very hard for this, and I think that all of you watching tonight will truly enjoy it. I have the pleasure of next introducing and bringing here to this platform the Director of the Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs, Eli Ross. Thank you, Eli.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Eli Ross. I have the pleasure of serving as the Director of Veterans Affairs for Mayor Bowser. I'm a Marine Corps veteran. I served over 9 years with a tour in Iraq as well. And so tonight is a story that is very near and dear to my heart, PTS awareness. The stories that you're going to hear tonight are stories of service, stories of sacrifice, but also stories of triumph. And it's our hope that in these stories, our veterans and our family members are going to see themselves reflected. The stories tonight are about that triumph that veterans can overcome a social stigma of PTS and be successful, that it is treatable, that it is something that veterans can overcome and be incredibly successful. And as you're going to hear tonight, there are several veterans that faced those trials and tribulations and came out better for it. And so what we're building here in the district with the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, with the support of Mayor Bowser, is an environment where we as veterans are coming together as a community, and we're coming together to support one another. We're coming together to raise awareness of those issues that we face, and we're coming together to succeed. And so that's what tonight is about. And I hope that everyone here tonight and everybody watching at home hears these stories, sees themselves, and sees the success that veterans have in our community. So thank you very much.
Please welcome this evening's hosts from the 202, Michelle Wright and Furman Patterson, and from the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, Joy Mosley.
Hello. We are honored to present this vital and necessary special on post-traumatic stress disorder and its impact on active duty military service members, veterans, and their families.
In doing our research, one of the many things we learned is that some advocates are dropping the term disorder when talking about post-traumatic stress.
That's right. The medical diagnosis is called PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. But the hope is that by dropping the term disorder, some of the stigma is removed with it and some of the barriers that are also associated with seeking treatment.
70% of adults in the United States will experience some type of traumatic event at least once in their lives. That approximate total is over 220 million.
Of that, 20% will develop long-term PTS. That means almost 45 million people struggle with this condition every day of their lives.
But on this program, we will focus on and discuss PTS from the perspective of over 5.5 million military service members and veterans who deal with this condition.
The objective of this show is to raise awareness among those who may not know the magnitude of the crippling consequences associated with untreated PTS.
To give hope to those who suffer from PTS, but also to say to those that suffer in silence that you are not alone.
We invite you to take this journey with us as we endeavor to touch the lives of as many veterans as possible by highlighting examples of those who strive to live healthy and positive lives while managing PTS.
This program will feature some amazing individuals and veteran service organizations who are championing this significant cause.
One of those individuals is Kevin M. Coleman. Kevin's organization, KMC Empowerment, provides coaching and leadership training. He's here to show how to use the information provided and the importance of supporting a veteran as he or she takes a courageous step forward towards managing PTS. Please welcome Kevin Coleman.
Good evening, everyone. How are you tonight? Again, my name is Kevin M. Coleman of KMC Empowerment, and I believe in three things: inspire, motivate, and lead. Inspiring individuals with PTS is very important to me, as well as should be important to you. But also, just bringing awareness, like everyone just said today, is extremely important. When I was in the military, we had one goal. If anybody here is part of the military, raise your hand. Okay. We had a first general order. Does anybody remember the first general order? Probably not. I'm going to tell it to you. I will guard everything within the limits of my post and quit my post only when properly relieved. That's a mission statement. And that's the same way we need to think about PTS today. You're on a mission to receive what's being told to you today. You're going to hear all these various different things, but your mission is to receive the golden nuggets that are said today and apply them to your life. Because when you hear something great, it's great to hear it, but you have to meditate on it and apply it to your life, and that brings on a new mindset. And that's what you need to remember. Have a great mindset today. Now, one thing I want you guys to remember is M-O-R-E. So I want you to say with me, M-O-R-E. And that means this. Say it with me. Maximize. Opportunities. With relentless. Enthusiasm. Say again. Maximize. Opportunities. With relentless. Enthusiasm. One more time. Maximize. Opportunities. With relentless. Enthusiasm. That's what you're going to do. So receive what's being said today, apply it to your life, and I'm going to come back later on. I'm going to test you at the end of the show. So remember, I thank you for your service. Have a great day.
Have you or someone you love ever been in a tornado or car accident, experienced sexual or physical abuse, served in a war zone? Most people have been through some kind of life-threatening or traumatic event, and it's common to have stress-related reactions after a trauma. But when symptoms last more than 3 months and they're not getting better, it's time to get help. Meet Sam. He recently returned from serving in Iraq. For many people, being in a crowded place like a baseball stadium or busy grocery store feels comfortable, but not for Sam. What should be a nice night out, taking his wife Tara to a restaurant, isn't fun for him anymore. He can only handle it if he sits with his back to the wall where he has a good view of the exits, and even then, he's too on edge to really enjoy it. At home, things aren't the way they used to be either. His sleep is restless at best, and some nights Tara isn't sure if Sam comes to bed at all. Sam seems to have a short fuse these days, and sometimes he snaps at Tara over tiny misunderstandings. What he and Tara never talk about is the trauma he experienced when he was deployed. He's never mentioned the guilt, the weight he carries around, wishing he could have done more to prevent what happened. Instead, he's turned inward, pulling away from family and friends. Tara tried to give him some space, but after months passing without change, she really started to worry. She was the one to finally say what they were both thinking. It's time to get help. That's when Sam finally decided to take action. He reached out to a doctor who told him about PTSD, or post-traumatic stress disorder. Sam's symptoms were getting in the way of enjoying his life. Re-experiencing, hyperarousal, feeling worse about yourself or the world, and avoidance are the 4 types of symptoms people with PTSD have. Sam's doctor explained each. The first is reliving the event, or re-experiencing. This is often an unwanted memory or even a flashback where you feel like you're right back in the situation again. Seeing, hearing, or even smelling something that reminds you of the trauma can trigger these. Nightmares where you relive parts of the event in your sleep are common too. The second is avoidance, staying away from situations that remind you of the trauma. That's why Sam tries to avoid thinking about painful memories altogether. He pours himself into his work or uses alcohol to keep his mind from going back to the trauma. The third is feeling worse about yourself or the world since the trauma. You might feel overwhelming guilt like Sam or not trust anyone. You just might not be able to feel happy, even when you are around people you love. The fourth type of symptom is sudden rushes of anger, irritability, feeling jittery, always on alert, always on the lookout for danger. This is called hyperarousal, and loud noises or a driver cutting in front of you can be all it takes to set you off. If you recognize any of these symptoms of PTSD in yourself or someone you love, don't wait. See your doctor to find out if it could be PTSD. Just like Sam and Tara found, there is hope. You don't have to live with the symptoms of PTSD forever. Effective treatments are available. To learn more about PTSD or how to get help, visit the National Center for PTSD website at www.ptsd.va.gov.
I'm extremely proud of the Office of Cable Television, Film, Music, and Entertainment's production team. We feel it's very important to support Mayor Bowser's initiatives and bring insight and support to our veterans. We are committed to providing resources and assistance to those affected by PTS.
The American Vet PTS Awareness Special will continue in a moment. And now, back to the American Vet PTS Awareness Special.
Furman and Joy are now joined by Dr. Lisa Carlin, clinical psychologist and coordinator of the PTS clinic at the DC VA Medical Center.
First of all, Dr. Carlin, we want to thank you so much for stopping by to talk with us about this issue.
Thank you so much for having me.
My first question is, if you could tell us about some of the methods currently being used to treat PTS at the clinic.
Sure, and the good news is, as we've been hearing here already, that there is a lot of hope. There are a lot of treatments that have been established as being really effective and really instrumental in individuals getting reconnected to things that are important to them in life and to really effectively treat some of these symptoms of post-traumatic stress disorder. So some of the top-line treatments that we use right now are types of psychotherapy, so talk therapy, where someone would come in, talk to a counselor or trained therapist, and in a supported and structured way to have an opportunity to really process some of the memories that they've been struggling with, to start to take a look and understand the impact and get education about the impact that they have, that the memories have, and that the impact that the traumas have had on them in their lives. Get some support for themselves and their family, learn strategies to be able to reconnect to those things that are important, to those people that are important to them, as well as to take a look at sometimes the meaning that they're making of that event, to be able to, again, understand the impact that it might have and how to reconnect to some thoughts and behaviors that are healthy ways of moving forward. If I may, something that I think is really important to remember is that, you know, as we heard, so many people are impacted by trauma in our world and in our society, and a lot of times what I'll say is that these are normal reactions to abnormal situations, and what we call post-traumatic stress is one of those normal reactions gets stuck in the healing process. So the fact that people are having these experiences that we just heard, not abnormal, what we're looking to do is to help get people unstuck through these techniques of taking a look at how they're being impacted, again, so that they can reconnect with things that are important.
Fascinating. Are there any new or emerging treatments that have caught your attention?
Yeah, absolutely. That's also really exciting. Just as if you were talking to me 10 years ago, I would probably have less to say about all of that. I hope I have more to say 10 years from now. There are so many different ways that someone might be able to access that healing, and we're learning more all the time. For instance, there's some really exciting research coming out about making use of the mind-body connections. We hear about mindfulness and present moment awareness practice so that we can start to, again, be in tune with how our bodies are impacted by these trauma events and how to be able to use some of those practices, sometimes in conjunction with therapy, to help access that more. There are lots of, as we'll hear about tonight, lots of great resources that, you know, we hope with more research and more understanding can really learn how people can, again, reconnect with those things in society through different activities, through learning how to move forward, sometimes reconnect with their values, even if they're having some struggle with some of those painful emotions and thoughts, how to still be able to move forward and learn some of those techniques to move forward. So always exciting to hear about new ways to engage people in that process.
Thank you.
What's been some of the most rewarding parts of dealing with people who come to the clinic for PTS?
Gosh, I could talk about that for a while. It really just is just so rewarding to sit with individuals that were once in so much pain and also feeling like things that reconnecting with life was impossible. And to know that sitting with someone that maybe even just 6 months ago thought that what they were talking about, how they were engaging with their world was impossible, and to now feel and know themselves about how they've been able to grow and be empowered. I mean, that's the reason that I'm doing this, or something better than that for me. So, yeah.
Well, thank you so much. This has been fascinating to hear and quite rewarding for us. Thank you for coming.
All right, thanks so much.
Right. Now let's hear from some of those who know the importance of seeking treatment.
My name is Corporal Bradley Joseph Seitz.
Captain Joshua Brandon.
Bob Murphy.
Kate Weber.
Jerry Reed.
Will Sanchez.
And I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
I have PTSD.
I thought I was losing my mind.
Everything just fell apart.
I was still in a war zone in my mind.
I felt isolated. I felt alone.
And I made a choice. I made a choice to go seek treatment.
Treatment has definitely helped me. Treatment has turned my life completely around.
It was like the new beginning for me.
If you're tired of dealing and living the way you are right now, then do something about it.
Quit beating yourself up and go ahead and help. You know, that's basically what all I can tell you. But you know you need help, so go get it.
Hi, Joy.
Hello.
You are one of the faces, one of those many faces of PTS, yes?
Yes, I am.
Talk about first your time and service in what branch?
Well, I was active duty Air Force for 9.5 years, and I've been out of the Air Force for approximately 16 years.
Okay. And when did you become aware that you struggle with PTS?
There wasn't really one particular incident that I can really pinpoint. Over the years, I had a lot of people just tell me I was different, and I struggled with managing my emotions, being stuck in, memories. And I really can't go too much into my story because it's graphic, and it involves PTS related to MST. PTS related to MST due to rape.
Wow.
So, but what I will say is this. There came a point in my life where I had to make a decision on who I wanted to be and how I wanted to exist in the world. And the only thing that I really knew and could hold on to is that I wanted to be a better mom.
Wow.
And it was for that reason is I decided to go get help and to get treatment.
Wow.
So I use a wide variety of treatment methods.
For instance?
For instance, traditional medicine. I'm currently enrolled at the DC VA Trauma Services,
Okay.
Where I go for group therapy, and I also take medication. But then I also rely on non-traditional medicine, such as meditation and yoga.
Ah, excellent.
So.
And I understand you have a mantra that you use every day to help you.
I do. I tell myself every day that I've already survived PTS. I'm surviving PTS. But now it's time for me to thrive through PTS. And I can only do that by staying with my treatment regimen and taking care of myself.
Excellent.
So I'm determined. I'm going to thrive through PTS.
I can tell. I can tell. Excellent. Thank you so much, Joy.
Thank you.
Very much. Thank you for sharing your story of thriving beyond PTS. Now, here's are some other DC veterans sharing their PTS experience.
Everybody joins the military for like a deeply personal reason, be it patriotism, family tradition.
I come from a family of serving, so going into the Army would allow me to serve more people.
I had a good friend who was like, we could join the National Guard together. We get to go to college for free and we can use our college money to buy a car. It was something crazy.
I joined the service because I thought that we were in peacetime, and I thought that I just wasn't ready to go to college just yet. So I wanted to travel and have the opportunity to serve my country.
So you believe the commercials, right?
Yes. Yes.
It was chaos, man. It was really chaotic.
My commander said, Jones, our mission is to go down to Baghdad International Airport and provide gun truck protection for convoy.
I was a 19-year-old kid that was put in a position to be in like an armed diplomat, peacekeeper, and there's just no way that you can really prepare yourself at that age or even at the age I'm at now, in retrospect, for something this complex.
Every day, I would wake up in the morning and get a sensitive report as an officer in charge. It stayed with me. And then, anytime something happened, RPG attack, my soldiers get blown up, I had to write the incident report.
I noticed like during the middle of the deployment, people were like saying things like, man, you sleep weird, you're snoring in your sleep, you're moving around, stuff like that. I'd never snored in my life.
3 or 4 years after my deployment, I started to have dreams at night that someone was killing me.
Instead of getting my intel report, I read the Washington Post, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal every day. That was my morning ritual. I did some military stuff. And people would tell me, hey, are you okay?
It was at that point when tears started to roll and I couldn't stop.
One of the things that kind of helped me is because I had actually worked as a Wounded Warrior Brigade staff officer at Fort Hood prior to my deploying. So it really helped because I knew a lot of the policies. So when I came back from country and noticed that my health wasn't where it should be, I was immediately able to kind of address some of those things by going to Walter Reed.
I was diagnosed with PTSD as a result of military sexual trauma, and they assigned me a psychiatrist, they assigned me a psychologist. I went through some different, programs, the CBT, the CPT, the PE, and those are all of the, and let me put it this way, every letter of the alphabet.
I wrote and I cried. And I think the first thing I wrote about was the youngest person in our unit, and he perished on one of my convoys. I realized through therapy that part of my PTSD was I felt deeply conflicted that this young man perished. And one of the things that the leadership at the DC National Guard, good friends of mine, mentors that I love, right before I'm leaving, they said, Jones, you make sure you take these soldiers, take care of these soldiers, and you bring them all back. Make sure you bring my soldiers back, Jones. As I always said, and it wasn't meant to put any undue pressure on you, but when you don't bring them back, he said, well, why am I here?
People want to pretend it's kind of like a light switch that you can turn on and off. It's not quite that simple. It's something that every person, it's a unique challenge to everyone. Some people find it impossible to transition.
The VA has implemented their pathways to whole health and wellness, where they address the physical, the spiritual, the mental, and the emotional side of veterans.
The Veterans Cannabis Coalition advocates for equal access and to reduce the stigmatization of cannabis use, particularly in a medical setting. I'm not saying it's a silver bullet, but I'm saying it is an option. It should be available.
I would say to my fellow veterans, if something is off and people are identifying it for you, it's definitely worth looking into, just so for your own sanity.
You're the best advocate for yourself, so you would know more or less where you are physically, mentally, if things aren't the way that they should be.
From the moment you come home and say, hey, my name's Bill, I live in Washington, D.C., I go talk to the Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs, and now I'm on this track. Now I'm getting enrolled in VA healthcare. If I need counseling, I'm getting it. If I want to use my home loan to potentially invest in the district and stay forever, I can do that. If I want to use my GI Bill and go to school in the district, we can. You do not have to live a diminished version of yourself after your combat experience. You don't. You can actually be better than what you were before you went. It's just all how you wake up in the morning. It's all if you go out there and get the help that you need to sort through your problems.
No matter where you are in your struggle, you should always know that you don't walk alone. And if you are walking alone, don't allow yourself to walk alone. Whether it's another veteran, whether it's an organization, whether it's a friend, reach out. There's always an avenue for a veteran to connect with something that will help him or her along on their wellness journey. Your vehicle will come. Your wellness will come. Your friends will come. Your allies on your journey will come. And I say that with the utmost of respect.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Andre Jones.
All right, all right. Always thankful. We thank Almighty God for gifted expression in the creative process. Always thankful. I'm so thankful that when I came back home from Iraq, that I never had to walk alone. At every critical juncture, I always had a friend, like my combat brother in arms, Samuel Isabel, who came out tonight. This song is called Never Be Alone. Yeah. Based on true events, real people. Yo, you will never be alone. Yeah. It's real. Never ever be alone. Feel me now. Yo. You will never be alone as long as we friends.
two for the streets, sworn true to the end. In the best of days and through the worst. During times of peace and even if the gaps burst. From the start to the end, I play my part. I'll be your friend. I stand my ground. I'll hold you down on these paper keeps. Concrete streets. Lift up your struggle, embrace your truth. How you lived it. The life that we share so similar, humble beginnings. You challenge me, I challenge you. We compete to be the best that we can be in righteousness. To this belief, iron sharpens iron at the tip of the spear. We did the right thing, pray for strength, channeled our fears. We coalesced and strategized, broke bread. We shared our dreams and planned on how to get ahead. Trust and believe and have faith, that's what we did. Through combat days and sleepless nights while we were doing our bids. Yo, feel me when I tell you that you should never ever walk alone. I'm gonna take y'all to church. I want y'all to clap your hands like this. Do this. Can you do that for me? Yo. Clap your hands now. Give me a little bit more. I need some energy. Dedicated to my man D Dent, Biggie, Big Pete. Yo, check me out now. Yo. We laughed together, bled tears, shared joy and pain. Over the years, so many come and gone, but love remains. Group prayer before convoys. Hats off, heads bowed, cancel the noise. All hands on deck as we reflect on godly things, while in the shadow of death with daily shots ringing, sandstorm, desert heat, hail to falling rain, RPGs and IEDs, plus some bullets came, caskets closed, the tombstones, grave sites, flowers on the grass, thinking why did he pass? Dear God, I wish you would've took me first. Now feeling sad, close my eyes, remembering the times we had. Memorial days, I wet my face and call their names. Can't shake the wounds of sacrifice. The pain remains. Tombstones, graveyards, young lives lost. Comrades in arms, dear friends, so many paid the cost. Yo, it's the original 202 Dodge City, son. It's a DC story. City of magnificent intentions. Much respect. Thank you. Never ever walk alone. Shout out to the DC Mayor's Office of Advisory Affairs, 547 Transportation Company, and much respect to my fallen comrade in arms, Darrell T. Dent, and his family. 202 Dodge City, son. Yeah. Keep clapping. Take me out with a clap. Yeah. Much respect. We thank Almighty God for gifted expression in the creative process.
The American Vet PTS Awareness Special will continue after this. The American Vet PTS Awareness Special continues.
An estimated 22 veterans a day commit suicide. But with proper diagnosis and treatment, there is hope. The core mission of the American Vet PTS Awareness Special is to remove the stigma from the disorder and provide information on the vast resources available to the veterans and their families.
PTS can have a devastating impact on the families of those living with the condition. Here to discuss its far-reaching ramifications is the host of DC Radio's Military Home Life talk show, Sonia Dunn.
Thank you, Furman. On this program, we've talked about the impact of the lives of those going through PTS. Now I want to share with you 3 stories of 3 different perspectives of family, friends, and communities dealing with the fallout of PTS. First, we have the organization 22 Too Many, the co-founder, Carrie Jacobs, and a runner and a family member, Ben Guthrie. Thank you for being with us today.
Thank you.
Carrie, first, share with us why you started this organization, 22 Too Many.
My son was deployed to Afghanistan, and I came to know through a support group, an online support group, a mom who lost her son named Andy, and he had served in Iraq and Afghanistan. And I had a marathon coming up, and I thought, inspired by my friend Dana, who's also a co-founder of 22 Too Many, that it would be appropriate to ask if I could run in his memory. So I took his picture, I shared his story, and I pinned him on my back, and I ran Baltimore Marathon. And when I was done with the race, I got the race medal, and I sent it to their family. And after that, my friend Dana, she was also running in memory of some Marines lost to suicide, and we just thought we were going to be a group of running friends locally who tried to, seek permission and honor the family members who died by suicide, and it just grew into an effort that's all over the country, people running different races, people doing biking events, hiking, walks. And so it's just been a privilege to get to know some of the grieving family members, and they have pain that is so deep. And for us to carry their sons and daughters, their husbands, their wives, means a lot to them, and it means a lot to us as well.
And Ben, you're a runner.
Yes.
And how many races have you run?
Well, actually, I've run 26 marathons
Wow.
before I made the transition into Ironman, but yes.
Wow, as far as for families.
Correct.
And you are also a family member who has experienced someone who has lost the battle to PTS by suicide as well.
That's correct, my father.
Have you run for him?
Actually, I've never run for him specifically. It's amazing when, joining 22 Too Many and being a part of this great organization, really, Carrie had reached out to me, and I ran for Sergeant Wicks for the first time. And during that race, carrying Sergeant Wicks on my back, I was so honored and privileged to have that experience. And halfway through the marathon, I thought, why not share my dad's story? For the first time, I had the courage to really share my story because, honestly, living with my dad's suicide, the choice he made, I was 14 at the time, it kind of was a stigma for me. I mean, I was never really had that experience to that platform, that comfort to share the story. So as soon as I finished up that marathon and dedicated my medal to the Wicks family, of course, I contacted Carrie and Dana, and I said, hey, how do I share my father? And, they provided that platform for me, that comfort. And so the subsequent marathons, I would be out in the course, and I would see a runner, and my dad was on the back of that runner. And, just emotion, like I can't really describe, but just an incredible, amazing feeling.
So you've experienced it from both sides, as
Yes.
a runner
Absolutely.
and a family member. And how has that helped you as far as your healing process?
Oh, it's helped tremendously. I mean, it really broke down that wall, that barrier that I think I had, for my whole entire life up until about, from the time I met Carrie and Dana, that really broke through those walls that I had. And it really provided me the ability to share my story. And I'm very comfortable sharing the story now. Before, it was very guarded. I kept it in my safe place. It was behind a steel door. And now I'm honored to not only share my story, but also help others, other families that are in crisis and need, and really help them, discover, that comfort.
Thank you both for what you do for families in the healing process as far as going through PTS.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Next, I want to share with you a story about the Armed Forces Military Spouse of the Year for the Air Force, Kristen Christie.
I need Dad right now. I can't go now. It's the worst year of my life.
I met Don Christie at the University of Texas in Austin. He was in ROTC. He was good looking, first of all, but there was something about his eyes that I could see into his heart that intrigued me. We just gelled. It was just easy. It was work, but it was easy. So Don was second in command of the Baghdad airport. And part of his duty, besides being able to greet the VPs, he was in charge of human remains, and that took a toll. Remember when I told you about those eyes that were so intriguing? They had lost their luster. They had lost their luster. It was a Monday. 10 years ago, I remember the faces I remember the odors of that day. It's burned in my memory. So I was at a friend's house and my sons called me and said, "Mom, there's a police officer at the front door." So I talked to the police officer. He said, "Ma'am, you need to come home." And I said, "Are my kids okay?" And he said, "Yes, ma'am, they are." And so came home. We were just down the street and came home, and it was not only a police officer, it was a volunteer chaplain with the sheriff's department and the coroner. And Don had taken his life. And I had to tell my kids. I've seen the destruction. It's been 10 years since his suicide, and our family crumbled. It was shock. They were catatonic. I've heard the word before. The glassiness, again, those eyes. I still have to go on suicide watch every once in a while. I will. Both of my kids have attempted. Their role model did.
Mommy, I'm not okay. I'm not okay right now, Mom. I really need help. I really need help. I need you answer.
Today marks 3 years since I've seen my oldest son. 1,095 days. And every chance I get to tell our story, it's healing for me. But selfishly, I'm hoping that he sees it, that he reads it, that he hears it. My cell phone number has not changed since 1999. That he will call just to let me know that he's okay. I need to know he's alive. I need to know he's alive. For me, telling our story, there's healing in it. But I also want to give families and people who've gone through tragedy, not just a suicide or death, but gone through tragedy, to be able to have a voice so they can heal as they're telling their story. But the beauty of it is, they are healing, but they are spreading the good word, the goodness of life, and giving hope to other people with their story. PTSD comes in many forms and affects different people in different ways. But we don't have to suffer alone. We can survive and thrive when we have help. And there is no shame in asking for help.
Kristen Christie currently is working on a White House executive order to make March 4th a national day of observance for all who lives with PTS, called March Forward. I have one of Kristen Christie's sisters in arms joining me, Armed Forces Insurance Military Spouse of the Year for the Marines, Joy Lynn Lee. Joy Lynn, you and Christy know each other very well.
We do.
And I know that touched you in a very special place.
Personal way.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, it did.
So I just want you to share your story, because it's very different from Christy's, and how PTS has affected your family.
So my husband just recently retired from the Marine Corps after 30 years. Obviously, if you serve for 30 years, you're going to have some experiences. We had a particularly difficult experience. He was in the Battle of Fallujah. He was a tanker, and he ended up being wounded, came home with a Purple Heart and a Silver Star. Everyone, looks at those medals and they think, oh, he's a hero. But he did not come home feeling like a hero. He came home a very different man. And he disguised it well. You know, he was very functional, still outstanding at his job, an outstanding Marine. But behind closed doors, we were a very broken family. I remember looking at him at one point and saying, I love you, but I don't want to live with you like this. And I thought, because we were not new to the Marine Corps experience, I thought that I knew what PTS or PTSD was. I thought I knew what I was dealing with. And you know what? You only know what you know. And I knew so very little. So we had a perfect storm of events kind of occur in our life, for lack of a better phrase. My husband was going through his difficulties. We had a child that experienced a sexual assault. And I think the breaking point came in our lives when that happened with our daughter and one of my husband's Marines who had gotten out. He hurt his family and then he killed himself. And that just caused a spiral. And, you know, we struggled for a really long time. But I tell people, who we were then is not who we are today. And who we are today is not who we are going to grow to become. There is a way out of the darkness. There is hope and there is healing.
In your darkest of days came an array of light called Reboot Combat Recovery.
So it's really interesting, you know, when your family is broken, you're going to do whatever you have to do to find healing. And I went back to school to pursue a graduate degree in counseling. And in the process of doing that, you know, just gained so much information. At that time, we were not involved with Reboot Combat Recovery. I wish that we had been, but we didn't know about the program. So we kind of navigated our healing through a variety of avenues, you know, combination of doctors, psychologists, counseling, you know, just encouragement with one another. But we were transferred back to Camp Lejeune, and we were walking through the Naval Hospital, and there was a banner that was on display and it said Reboot Combat Recovery, looking for volunteers. And I told my husband, hello, we are doing this because we have walked this journey and we came through the other side. We're still married. Our family is intact. We get it. And he was like, okay, babe, I'm gonna do whatever you say because you're right. And we became involved with Reboot Combat Recovery. We're now the facilitators of Reboot Combat Recovery down at Camp Lejeune because we get it. And we can't not give back. We have kids that are currently in the Marine Corps. I want healthy. I want healthy for this community. I want healthy for those that love those that serve.
Thank you. Thank you for sharing how you have made it through PTS.
You know, we say hurt people hurt other people to include themselves, but healed people move forward and heal other people. And that's the goal and that's the objective for anyone that's hurting.
Thank you, Jolene.
You're welcome.
Now, check out these other organizations for programs and services for couples and families and caregivers who are living with PTS.
Post-traumatic stress is not a lighthearted topic for those living through this. Feelings of not having control of your own thoughts and reactions to the simplest of sounds or interaction with other people can be both distressing and debilitating.
Throughout history, the art of bringing laughter in the midst of pain and suffering has provided a form of therapy to those with PTS.
Just like our next artist, comedian April Goodwin. April is a veteran who lives with PTS and MST, military sexual trauma. Being able to share her story through the art of laughter has been therapeutic and life-changing for her, her veteran spouse, and their entire family. Ladies and gentlemen, the Armed Services Arts Program alumnus, April Goodwin.
I'm cool as ice with sugar and spice, baby. And I'm Mama G, and that's me. Now, this is my just-in-case bag. And when I say for what, you say just in case for what? I can't hear you. All right, now, let's get started. Well, I love my family. God knows I do. But I got some aunts that cook for every family reunion and anything that you have to cook for. Like now, Thanksgiving's coming up. Lord have mercy. And she cooks, but she can't cook. So I bring my own food for what? Just in case, baby. Big Mama got to have her own food. And then I say to myself, I'm going to taste just a little so it won't hurt her feelings. So then my stomach started going blah, blah. I was in trouble, y'all. I was squeezing my cheeks together, both sets. And so I finally got to the bathroom. Everybody say, ah. Everybody say, yes. And I sat down with expectation. They ain't had no what? Toilet paper, right? But I brought my own for what? Just in case, baby. And if I have a little mess, I carry one of these. It depends, baby. It depends. I know you wish you had one. Y'all had accidents before, honey. But let me tell you about my family. I have 5 beautiful daughters. So you know when you have girls, boys show up, right? I said, right? Y'all better talk to me. I said, right? All right now. So then I thought about it. I said, when you go to the bank, you got to have an application, right? When you're trying to see the police, they fill out a form that's kind of like an application. And if you go to the hospital and you are tore up from the floor up, you got to fill out an application, right? Well, if you come in to see my daughters, you got to fill out an application. Because I need to know your whole family tree, your grandmama, your great-grandmama, all the way back. Well, in order to date my daughters, you got to come in the house. So the gentleman came in, and I said, he's so handsome. So I took his picture for what? Just in case. I need to remember what that joker looked like. And so I gave him a great big mama hug. And once I hugged him, I said, wow, he sure is good looking. Let me see what I'm going to do about that. First, I'm going to do this. I said, go down the hall and go over to the right and just fill out one of these for me. I need a sample for what? Just in case, baby. Now, look, he took my daughter out on this date, honey. And I said, okay, this is what we're going to do. I'm a little too clingy, right? So I said, right? So I said, let them go ahead on this date. And so Friendly Freddie turned into Freaky Freddie. And so I told my baby, always carry a pair of socks. It's a beautiful thing to have a pair of socks. And carry some soap because cleanliness is next to godliness, right? And you put that soap in that sock and bam! He thought it was your kiss because you got to protect yourself for what? Well, you know the po-po coming, right? I said, right? All right, so you got to have a disguise for what? Okay, hold up. Let me get it together. Hold up. Wait a minute. There you go. Hold on. Wait a minute. Woo! Ha-ha! Hey, they will recognize me in this, and you say arms to the poor, because you got to have a disguise for what? Well, they came back off this date, and he had a knot on his head. So I knew what happened to him, and I said, son, what were you expecting to do? He said, I just leaned in for a kiss, and she hit me for what? That's my time. I'm cool as ice with sugar and spice, baby, and I'm Mama G, and that's me. You know, I just wanted to say a couple of words. I do suffer from PTSD and MST, military sexual trauma, but I use the arts to help me to be able to get from one moment to the next. And I figured if I could laugh, then maybe someone else could laugh, and that would lighten up the struggle. You can do it through painting. You can do it through all different kinds of arts. And you're not alone. We are here to help you. All you have to do is say you want to, and there'll be someone to help you. So thank you very much, and have a clever evening.
The American Vet PTS Awareness Special will continue after this. Welcome back to the American Vet PTS Awareness Special.
It feels beautiful. It feels, I don't think there's no words to tell you that how beautiful my life has become. It doesn't mean that all the problems in my life has gone away, you know, but I have a better grip on how to handle things in my life now.
Treatment has been huge. Treatment has definitely helped me. Treatment has turned my life completely around. I am a lot more comfortable in my own skin.
Relationship with the kids, it's better now. It's way better, you know. My kids love me. I mean, they call me every day. If my daughter's not calling me every day, they're knocking at the door now.
Through counseling and through the PTSD help, I have come to realize that what I thought in that incident for all these years, that I either made a mistake or could have done something different, I came to realize that I didn't do anything wrong.
Yes, I do feel like I still have PTSD, but I'm in control of it now. Whenever I wake up of the dream, the trauma, I don't have a problem with dealing with it. Before I couldn't deal with it. I didn't want to talk about it, but now I'm at peace with it. I can talk about it as long as someone want to listen to it. I can talk about it. Before I couldn't do that.
Nowadays, I get plenty of sleep. I don't have the nightmares. I don't wake from dreams feeling as though someone were watching me, which is unsettling. It's a lot better life now.
We became a much happier couple. Even though we were, dedicated to one another, we had some hidden problems once in a while. And more or less, they began to erase it from our daily lives. And we became more contented and very, very happy.
Getting it out, I would recommend to any veteran, male or female, talking about it, getting it out, being amongst others. It makes a difference. It makes a difference.
Joining us now is U.S. Marine Corps veteran Elliot Domingo.
Elliot is the Outreach and Public Information Officer for the District of Columbia Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. Thank you for being here.
Thank you.
Well, Elliot, tell us, what is the mission, the overall mission of the D.C. Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs?
Absolutely. Our mission is to serve and advocate on behalf of the 30,000 D.C. veterans, their families, and their caregivers that we have here in the district. Mayor Bowser has provided us some resources, many resources, to get veterans on that pathway to the middle class. And that pathway is improved when we work with the Federal Department of Veteran Affairs to ensure that they get the benefits that they need in a timely manner. Now, the Department of Veteran Affairs does everything it can with the resources it has, but it's on the state departments of Veteran Affairs and our district department to fill those capability gaps that they cannot fill in those specific regions. So we need to look out for those veterans and ensure that they get the district resources that they need if they can't get it from the federal department. For example, we define a veteran as anybody who has served in the armed forces in any way, whether it be reserve, guard, whatever they've done. So if you have served in the armed forces in any way, and you're a District of Columbia resident, please come to our office at 4414 4th Street in Northwest in Judiciary Square and just talk to us and see what we can provide you at the district level.
So, Elliot, I'm anxious to learn what some of the programs and initiatives are at the agency.
We have a new hire who will be the District Veteran Service Officer. So now our office is finally able to do full claims on behalf of veterans and track them up to the Department of Veteran Affairs on a full-time service instead of just Tuesdays like we've been doing in the past. Now we can do it full-time. Very exciting for us. We also have a very high cost of travel in this city, high cost of transport. So talking about that capability gap, so how can we fill that? So we introduced a program called Vets Rides this year. Basically what it does is if you're a DC veteran that makes under $30,000 a year, you come to our office, we sign you up, and we'll provide you a free taxi cab service to medical appointments, employment interviews, and education intake. And all we ask is just that you prove you're a DC veteran and make under $30,000, we'll get you signed up. We've already done over 5,000 rides this year, and we have full funding for it through FY19, which we're very excited about. And then finally, our office can't do what it does without partnerships. We're a small but mighty office. We do everything we can, but the partnerships will really make us strive and be able to help all 30,000 veterans out there. So partnerships with nonprofits like the Mission Continues, Serving Together, American Legion, VFW, DAV, or partnerships with our local agencies like Department for Hire Vehicles that does vet rides with us, DOES for employment, and then DDS that does vocational rehab for veterans. So that's how we survive out here, and we're here to help all the veterans we can. So please come to our office and meet with us.
Great stuff. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elliot. All right, and thank you. It's great to see all the initiatives and programs that the District of Columbia has for veterans, military service members, caregivers, and families through our Mayor's Office of Veteran Affairs.
DC's representative to Congress, Eleanor Holmes Norton, has been responsible for some of the legislative endeavors on behalf of veterans and the military community as well.
I have gone to ceremonies ever since I've come to Congress where the National Guard, which initially, in fact even today, is for matters affecting the homeland, are being sent to wars like Iraq and Afghanistan. And I've gone every time that they have been shipped off, because there's always a big ceremony to offer my gratitude for what they're doing. But we must also remember that many serve us right here in the United States as part of units like the National Guard. In the United States, residents of the District of Columbia have served in each and every war that the nation has fought. There are very few jurisdictions that can say that, because the service of our men in the military also includes service in the war that was fought for the issue of taxation without representation. And yet our veterans have fought to give representation to people in Iraq, to people all over the world, became home and still find that they do not have full representation, even in the Congress, where I have the right to do everything except that final vote on the House floor. And of course we have no representation in the Senate, so we alone still have taxation without representation. And for the District of Columbia and its residents, please do not forget this figure. We are #1 per capita in taxes paid to support the federal government, and yet we are left more than 200 years later with taxation without representation. At home, we recognize that only 1% of the population serves us in the armed forces, risking life and limb. It's impossible for us to keep saying this to our veterans every day. On Veterans Day, we ought to say it loud and clear. There was a time when there was a draft and everyone had to serve. Those who serve us now make the choice to risk themselves for us. That is not lost on us. So we think about you on special days like Veterans Days, but please know that we think about you a lot, and you see it even from the Congress, where from the president on down, and whether we support him or not, we support him when he pays tribute to our veterans. You will hear it on both sides of the aisle. You are much appreciated.
We have discussed awareness, hope, and empowerment. Now here's the story of a local organization that exemplifies all the above for those living through PTS. It's called Dog Tag Bakery. We Are Washington's Matt Granato has their story.
From the outside, it has all the familiar sights and smells you'd expect from a Georgetown bake shop.
We have front of house, we have back of house that come in every morning, starting at 12:30 a.m. and start baking fresh bread and fresh breakfast products.
Inside, Dog Tag Bakery serves up decadent treats and coffee for patrons and opportunity for military veterans and their families.
We wanted to have a cafe and kitchen where we can make beautiful, delicious, natural products, but then above actually run a nonprofit.
Co-founders Connie Milstein and Father Rick Curry's shared passion for enriching the lives and careers of veterans built this pastry destination/business school where students get a range of experience.
Anything from management, accounting. So what we do is that they rotate through the front of house, the back of house, with our staff that works here every day. The bakery becomes a real live model of what a small business is, and they get to actually test different theories through it.
Through a partnership with Georgetown University, fellows of Dog Tag Bakery have a unique chance to build their bake shop chops into long-term, lasting career success.
So 6 hours a week, our fellows are actually focusing on their education. So they take 7 courses, and upon passing papers, tests, presentations, all the works, they graduate with a certificate in business administration from Georgetown University's School of Continuing Studies.
Dog Tag Bakery focuses on empowering veterans with disabilities, military spouses, and caregivers in a way that transcends any one branch and embraces the culture of all service members.
When we were thinking of something that went across all the branches, they have different colors, different grunts, but the one thing everyone understood was a dog tag. And even those who haven't served and their grandparents have, the one thing they hold on to is a dog tag.
That namesake is front and center with a poignant display.
Well, Father Curry found a chandelier in the Chicago Vietnam Memorial Museum of a massive chandelier made of dog tags. And he really wanted to bring that. He thought that was, a beautiful piece of artwork that also could then be part of a conversation with our community of saying, this is who we serve. So when you look up and you see dog tags, it's a reminder that our military are still out there serving, but your involvement here in the bakery and purchasing product are now giving back to that same community.
The opportunity to give back can be found in every corner of this store. Buying baked goods like these contributes to programs that are creating a bridge toward a successful civilian life, arming vets and their families with the skills and resources to make them employable and competitive.
For us, success really means what happens once they leave here, and now you're moving forward.
U.S. Marine Corps veteran Sherrod Wade serves as an outreach specialist for the D.C. Mayor's Office of Veterans Affairs. He's also a graduate of the 2016 Dog Tag Fellowship Program. Hi, Sherrod.
Hello.
It seemed like a sweet place to be, pun intended. Tell me about your experience at the program and how it helped you to transition into the workforce and the civilian environment.
Okay, so I'll start by how life was for me prior to entering into the fellowship program. Okay. So I was one of the first Marines that I served with to separate from active duty. And upon returning back home to DC, I found it difficult to find a sense of community and camaraderie that I shared with my brothers in arms in the Marine Corps. And that made the transition from military to civilian life rather difficult. And upon entering the Dog Tag Fellowship Program, one of the things that I was fortunate to find was that sense of fellowship, camaraderie, and brotherhood with with my alumni and fellows that I served with during the program.
So you would absolutely recommend it?
Absolutely, absolutely. It played a pivotal role in my successful transition up to this point because they introduced holistic approaches to transition to supplement the traditional methodology that I was utilizing to cope with the different triggers and symptoms of PTS.
Oh, excellent. Thank you, Sherrod.
Thank you, Ms. Wright.
Thank you so much. And thank you to the Mayor's Office on Veterans Affairs, and thank you to Dog Tag Bakery.
Please welcome back Mr. Kevin Coleman.
Hello, everyone. How are you? Now, I hope you got the opportunity to really take in the golden nuggets. Have you got the opportunity? Yeah. A lot of great information came out today, and it hasn't ended yet. Now, one thing you got to remember, knowledge is what? But applied knowledge is powerful. So that's necessary in order to cope with PTS and any other trauma that you go through. So you need to apply the knowledge, apply the nuggets that was displayed today in order to get through it. And remember one word, the big mo. Now you guys may want to wonder, what is the big mo? It's momentum. And anytime you go through something, anytime you learn something new, you need to use that momentum to keep it going. So don't just listen today, but you need to keep that momentum going and reach out to people. Call on your neighbor. Call on the various different services in D.C. in order to help yourself. Don't lose hope, because hope is hold on with positive expectation. So remember that. And last thing I want to leave you with is this. More. Remember I talked about more? Let's do it one more time. Maximize. Opportunities. With relentless enthusiasm. So do more, be more, and apply more to your life. Thank you so much. Have a great day and be blessed.
We want to leave you with one more song to inspire and to help motivate you to lead a mentally healthy life.
Here's a song from R Street Studio, produced by owner and engineer Holly Bainham, and performed by Willette Oden and Courtney Hinton.
It is called Prayer to Survive.
Memories I can't describe, experiences I try to hide, thoughts and feelings that collide, so much conflict in my mind, sick of being terrified, the past has tarnished my pride, God please help and provide, means for peace so I can thrive, 'cause as long as I'm alive, I've got this prayer to survive.
I'm a saluter, survival of fittest, a brother, a sister. Listen to the pain, I also feel like I'm no different. Conflicted, who said the only wars are on the battlefield? Malicious thoughts on my mind, I just need time to heal. Battlefields and enemies, they're kin to me. But when it all boils down, I need serenity. I close my eyes to open wide, the war's clear to see. Don't have to stand on the line to face my enemies. I'm front and center, the skirmish winner. I'm petrified of the night times and fear the winters. There's certain things that I encounter which I don't remember, take it away. There's only so much in this world that I can take, so I pray. Hoping and wishing for brighter days, let my tears fade. Kiss the bruises that life was made, and whisper in my ear that everything will be okay, because it will. Spoken and written in God's will.
Memories I can't describe, experiences I try to hide, thoughts and feelings that collide, so much conflict in my mind, sick of being terrified, the past has tarnished my pride, God please help and provide, means for peace so I can thrive, 'cause as long as I'm alive, I've got this prayer to survive.
Everybody clap your hands like this.
Know that if you seek help, that there is hope. You can thrive through this.
Still I rise.
Still I rise. Let me
There's
see everybody
hope.
rise to their feet.
Still I rise, just like hope springing high. Still I rise.
Memories I can't describe, experiences I try to hide, thoughts and feelings that collide, so much conflict in my mind, sick of being terrified, the past has tarnished my pride, God please help and provide, means for peace so I can thrive, 'cause as long as I'm alive, I've got this prayer to survive. 'Cause as long as I'm alive, I've got this prayer to survive.
Take us home, Coco.
'Cause as long as I'm alive, I've got this prayer to survive.
Along with this awareness special, the challenges of living with PTS are also being explored by a new HBO documentary film called We Are Not Done Yet.
We Are Not Done Yet is an HBO documentary about 10 veterans who refused silence and found an audience right here in DC willing to hear them. I was so glad to be able to support them in that effort. Whether from military sexual trauma or combat, post-traumatic stress isn't a veteran issue, it's an American issue. When our veterans struggle to return home, we, as a public, need to be willing to hear their stories. That's why I'm so glad that this program is highlighting not just veterans' issues, but also the resources available to veterans and service members who are looking to find a way through to the other side of trauma.
Thank you for watching this special on PTS awareness. We want people to ask for help. We want people to get help.
We hope that one of the resources and programs mentioned tonight can help you or your loved one. One of those resources is a website called About Face. It's where veterans who've had treatment for PTSD share their stories in an effort to help other veterans who struggle at home.
If you or someone you know has a story to share, please contact ncpts@va.gov.